Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. Around China's most mortifying desert, a living green ring stretches over 3,046 kilometers long.
On November 28, 2024, workers planted the final 100 meters of trees along the southern edge of the shifting sands. Thus ended a 46-year endeavor that completely ringed the desert locals once called the Sea of Death. The Taklamakan Desert spans over 337,000 square kilometers, roughly the size of all Finland.
It is the world's second largest shifting sand desert, surpassed in continuous dunes only by the Sahara.
In the local language, the name Taklamakan translates roughly to, "Once you enter, you can never leave." In summer, the sand here grows so hot that air temperatures frequently surpassed 40 degrees Celsius. And now, the longest green wall humanity has ever built around a desert embraces it on all sides. At first glance, the recipe seems simple and obvious, as if invented by a child playing with a shovel in a sandbox. If you want to green the desert, you simply bring many saplings, plant them in the sand, and wait. Yet this naive logic has ruined dozens of projects across the world, costing billions of dollars. Because the true enemy in the desert is neither drought, nor even the scorching sun overhead. The real enemy, in reality, is moving sand, behaving like a slow liquid, yet absolutely implacable. A single sand dune can displace tens of meters in a single year, burying roads and entire settlements in its path. Scientists call these crescent-shaped dunes barchans, and they roam across the desert like a herd of slow beasts. Entire villages in Africa and Asia have had to be abandoned because advancing sand literally swallowed them. Stopping this river of sand is far more difficult than planting a tree, and that is where the root of all failures lies.
Wind lifts the upper layer of sand, drags it forward, and deposits it on the leeward slip face, causing the dune to advance.
A young tree planted in such a current is doomed. Either it gets completely buried, or its roots are left exposed and dried out. So the first, and in fact the most underestimated question we face is, how on earth do we keep the sand in its place? Today we are going to analyze how various countries have learned to transform dead sand into living land.
We will see a brilliantly simple invention that became the foundation of all Chinese victories over the desert.
We will understand why some projects flourished, while others turned into costly cemeteries of dry timber.
Let us return to our primary enemy, the sand flowing beneath the wind like water in slow motion.
The story of this true struggle began in 1955 in a place called Chapoteau.
China extended the strategic Baotou-Lanzhou railway line straight across the blazing sea of shifting dunes without any initial fixation.
The problem was humiliatingly simple. Shifting sands could cover newly placed tracks almost to zero level in a single night. Trains could not pass, and rebuilding the line after every single storm was total madness.
Scientists from the Chinese Academy of Sciences tested dozens of methods, and almost all failed spectacularly.
And then was born a solution so economical and evident that at first, very few people truly believed in it. If you like that together, we search for a beautiful and unexpected solution to this engineering enigma. I invite you to stay with us until the end. In this channel, complex things are explained without beating around the bush and in a direct way, so subscribe so you don't miss a thing. And now look at what a surprisingly simple answer turned out to be the one that ultimately saved this railway from the desert. Placing bundles of rice or wheat straw vertically into the sand, leaving about 30 centimeters protruding outward. The straw strips were placed not at random, but in a precise grid, square after square, like a gigantic chessboard. That is how technology was born that is now known worldwide as the straw checkerboard grid.
It works with stunning beauty and is based on the pure physics of the air layer close to the ground.
The protruding straw reduces the wind velocity close to the surface, right where it picks up sand grains. Inside each square, a small zone of calm is formed, where the sand stops moving completely. The dune is stopped, as if someone switched it off, and for the first time in thousands of years, it remains immobile in a single place. And from here begins the most important part. Because immobile sand is still neither earth nor life. Half of the straw is buried, and over time it decomposes, supplying the soil with its first particles of organic matter. In the calm between the stalks, dust accumulates, moisture is retained, and a delicate, vibrant crust of microbes and algae emerges. This living crust seems insignificant, but it is what turns dead sand into something resembling real earth. It retains moisture, binds the surface, and prepares the home for the first seeds that the wind will eventually bring. Before, in natural conditions, forming such a living crust took about 10 years of slow, persistent work by the elements. According to the Chapoteau Research Station, the exact same process is completed in approximately 1 year. And only when the sand has been tamed and a crust has appeared, do they plant shrubs and grasses inside the cells, meaning that trees and plants arrive not first, but last, when the battleground has already been won. This work is arduous and almost entirely manual, with people bending under the sun, driving straw bunch after bunch without rest.
We're almost there, just over this ridge.
The sunrise is beautiful this morning.
In the Chapoteau area alone, tens of thousands of hectares of volatile sand have been secured with these grids and plantings. Along the Baotou-Lanzhou Railway, a green strip hundreds of meters wide grew, and the tracks finally stopped being covered by sand.
In 1977, at the UN Conference on Desertification in Nairobi, this method was shown to the world.
Since then, specialists from Africa, Mongolia, and Central Asia have come to learn about this humble straw. Precisely from these techniques was born the program the entire world knows as the 3 North Shelter Belt Program, or the Great Green Wall. It began in 1978, extending across the entire arid northern region of the country.
In recent decades, more than 30 million hectares of forests have been planted under this program.
China's forest cover has grown over this time by nearly 10%, reaching close to a quarter of its territory.
Now imagine what would happen if this principle were applied not just along a road, but around an entire desert.
And that is exactly what the Chinese did, one of the most prominent stories being that of the Kubuki Desert in Inner Mongolia. In 1988, a local native named Wang Wenbiao assumed leadership of a salt factory nearly bankrupt in the middle of the sands. The factory was suffocating because salt had to be transported via an indirect route spanning 350 kilometers. The direct path to the nearest station was only 65 kilometers, but sand constantly covered it. Wang built this road, and the desert coldly covered it, reminding everyone who the true master here was. Then he understood something simple. To save the road, he first had to tame the surrounding dunes. Driven purely by necessity, a private enterprise turned into one of the largest land restoration projects on Earth. Over several decades, the company and local residents planted and restored nearly a third of the Kubuki Desert. Vegetation cover in the restored lands increased from near zero to more than 50%. The number of living organism species grew from 123 to approximately 530. The restored lands have captured millions of tons of atmospheric carbon, and water has slowly returned to the soil. Perhaps most importantly, the project helped hundreds of thousands of local residents lift themselves out of poverty.
Directly in the sand, they established cultivation of licorice and other valuable medicinal plants of traditional medicine.
Where once there was only dead sand, tourist centers now thrive, welcoming visitors to experience the transformed desert for the first time.
Yet beneath these beautiful figures hides the main technical trap that many prefer not to speak of: water.
A mature tree is a powerful biological pump that can evaporate hundreds of liters of precious water daily through its leaves. In deserts where rain is scarce, this thirst becomes fatally dangerous for the entire project. Local plants accustomed to drought are infinitely more reliable than imported species brought from afar. When we stop fighting the desert and learn its language, even the most barren sands can finally begin to bloom.